Well, NASA started in April 1965 with North Hill Dig, and NASA actually stood for North Hill Association for Speleological Advancement. This was closely related, of course, to the American Space NASA. So around 1972, NASA moved from North Hill, which got a little bit tricky because it got tighter and tighter and tighter, and North Hill basically ended in Jim Stop, Mike Stop and Fred Stop, and we went over to Manor Farm. And Manor Farm, that was around 1972, and we stayed there until we actually discovered the whole of the basic cave as we know it today. From there, in 1974, we moved to Windsor Hill. Again, Windsor Hill was spotted by Mike Thompson, I think, who sort of noticed a stream sinking in the wood. So we had a little recce party, and the recce party went over one afternoon, and we saw a chap standing there with a dog. And we thought, maybe we shouldn't be here, this is the landowner. So we all hid behind trees and we waited for the guy to move, and it was quite obviously the guy was as scared of us as we were of him. And after that we met Eric Dunford, who stayed as a NASA digger for, and well, still is a NASA digger even to this day. We started Windsor Hill after we left Manor Farm in 1974. What you're seeing initially is the old railway track, the old part of the Somerset and Dorset railway line, where we parked our vehicles, and we used to have our cement mixer up on the top, and that's obviously you can see that. Down below in the valley, the stream was sinking slightly higher up, and we decided there was a good opportunity to dig down quite close to that point. A lot of cementing had to be done initially. We had to cement a very large plinth across the top of it. The shaft that was there wasn't very stable, so we put a lot of cement into it. And the first few shots there of Fred Davis with a mixer. We had an aerial ropeway that took the cement down in buckets down to the bottom. And this is the start of the shaft. We were just sort of preparing it, putting concrete in at the beginning. Certainly Jim Hamwell's one of those people. Not sure who we've got. Yes, this was the actual first part of the main shaft.
Now that's Brian Pruitt.
I think that's me, Brian Pruitt, with a hammer in the hand, looking very long-haired. And that's a chap called Pete Palfrey.
Pete Palfrey.
Pete Palfrey joined us. I don't know where he came from. He was with us for quite a few years. And this is the aerial ropeway where we were carting stuff up and down. Right, the start of the shaft. And actually you can see water running down it because some of the water did leak through from the sink higher up, and we had to take measures to stop that. Jim Hamwell again on the right, and there's the stream. So we put some various dams in to stop the water actually getting down into the shaft, which made digging rather uncomfortable. The shaft actually consisted of scaffold poles and bits of wood and concrete. I think the man with the hammer is me again. I'll hold it there a minute. Yes, more hammering. More cement. I'm trying to identify the person in the red top. That's definitely Pete Palfrey. Now we think somewhere in this lot is John Ham, but actually identifying him is not very easy. Right, we're back to the entrance shaft. I'm pretty sure that's Tim Atkinson in the blue. He did join, yes it is, it is definitely Tim Atkinson. We spent a long time on that shaft because it was very dodgy. There was a lot of loose stuff in it, and we tried to shore it up pretty thoroughly all the way down. This is looking back up the stream to where the actual stream sinks. This is quite a major stream, and it actually flows all the way, all the time, right through the year, summer as well. But unfortunately this whole area was seriously modified by the old railway line. The old Somerset and Dorset Railway went through there, and there was a lot of slag. The person there now is Albert, definitely, Albert Francis, who was a long-term NHASA digger, right the way through from North Hill, right the way through to Templeton. But we built dams to try and stop the water getting into the shaft. The only time it ever got down there was in serious flood. And I think that's Golly Scammell. That's definitely not me. And there's Albert again. I've got a feeling that this is part of our waterworks system that diverted the water away from the actual dig. What we did is we built a bypass to stop the water going down the main shaft in flood. That's the actual shaft, and we built a whole load of waterworks to try and push the water on down the valley. Ah, the shaft tidied up. And I think
that's Annie.
that is Mrs. West, Mrs. Annie West.
That's you again, isn't it?
That's Annie still, I
I
think.
think that's still Annie West, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes, that's
that's
Mrs.
Annie.
Annie West, definitely. I don't know who the other guy was. Mike Thompson?
I think so.
Probably Mike Thompson. He was the only one who could afford a decent jacket with leather patches on the elbows.
You're getting deeper, he's got a helmet on.
That's Rich West.
Yep.
Rich West when he had lots of hair.
Jim with the fire.
And of course the man with a cigarette in his mouth is none other than Jim Hamwell. Lots of corrugated iron employed to do our water diversion system. I think this is Stephen Brewer
It is.
at the age of 8, 9,
No, it's a bit older than that.
10.
At least 10 or 11.
He made a good slave. Brian Brewer, directing operations again.
John Ham was stance, that man on the side.
John
John
Ham.
Ham was John Ham's stance, the way he was stood. And it was John Ham.
Children down mines, I never did approve of that.
Well, of course, what they were doing, what this was doing now, was building up the dam. The spoil that was coming out was used as more, to build a better dam to keep the water out.
You say you were over there for 7 years.
So,
What stage did you reach and why did you pack it up?
Yeah, 1981 we finished. Basically, in the winter, the stream always got the better of us. The stream actually washed debris right down to the bottom, and every time we cleared it out, we come back again a week later, and it was all filled in again. And it just got harder and harder to dig. At one stage, we actually attacked another sinkhole just above Windsor Hill shaft in a cliff face where in the winter the stream sank, but in the summer it was dry. We actually had another go at that, and we dug a shaft there about 10 foot deep, but again we were always plagued with high water levels.
Do you think someone's gone back and
Now you
digging
can see the
ditch?
water now, the water actually running down the shaft. It was coming in low down. If my memory serves me correctly, I think we deliberately let water go down it at certain times to flush out all the rubbish, but later it got the better of us because the water actually took so much debris down it, filled up the thing at the very bottom.
Someone's gone back digging over at Windsor Hill, I believe.
Yes, they have. Yes, my goodness. I think that's my
Yeah, when we
That's
had
my-
the...
Morris Traveller.
This is obviously another day's filming.
Yeah, that's right. That's my old Morris Traveller. Now
Banging.
I know exactly what's in those cans. This is where we get into the banging regime. He's forgotten what's in the tins. That's John Ham.
That's John Ham.
Yes, this is John Ham. We've entrusted him with the detonators.
What's the maximum depth you got to?
Depth, probably about 100 feet.
Was it ever written up?
Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't written up. The problem was, when we were digging prior to Windsor Hill at Manor Farm, right, we always made the pub, the Hunters. When we went to Windsor Hill, we always felt it was too far from the pub, so we were actually drinking in the downside, the now closed pub on the main A37. So for many years we didn't actually go to the Hunters after digging. So the logbook that the NHASA wrote up religiously up to that point, there's a big gap between 1974 and 1981.
So in some ways this film's the only record you got of it?
Yes, it is. Yes, there was no logbook kept until we went to What did we do after that? Twin Tees, wasn't it? Yeah, Twin Tees in 1985, and then the logbook resumed. We used to cover the place up at night because, or after digging, because it's basically the whole place is on a footpath, quite a well-used footpath, and the houses nearby, there were quite a lot of young kids, young children, so we were forced to cover it fairly substantially when we left, hence the grill and the logs. Yeah.
Lives in Scotland now. Woodward.
Oh, Brian Woodward. Yes, the guy in the blue. That's me on the right, and Brian Woodward on the left in the blue.
This film was taken by Bob Scammell.
This film was shot by Bob Scammell, and the commentary is by Brian Brewer and his wife Brenda, recorded by me, Maurice Hewins, in 2016.